Hello, hello, dear friends. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. This is where we take a fresh look at ourselves and the world around us. I'm Debbie Georgiani, one half of the team. The other half, Jerry Usher, is flying back home to California from Las Vegas, where he spoke at a Legatus event last night. And I understand the talk went really well. So, Jerry, if you're listening or boarding the plane, we wish you a very safe flight, and you will be just tremendously missed today. Although I will tell you, dear listeners, I've been praying for the gift of bilocation for Mr. Usher, and to date, he hasn't received it yet, but I sure hope he does. So, Jerry, you will be missed, and safe travels. Okay, dear listeners, here we go. Today is the day we're talking about raising kids to be saints. And boy, social media is ablaze. Jeff Burson, our social media expert, has been sending me all the different posts, and wow, they're coming in just super fast of all the different takes that you share about how you raised your kids, what went well, what didn't go well, what you regret. Oh, and we talk about that. You definitely don't want to live with regrets. And so we're going to talk today and explore this idea of raising kids to be saints, and what can we do to instill the faith? What can we really do to let our children know how much we love the faith and how much we feel it's so important to pass it to them and to the future generations. So the calls are already coming in. This is just unbelievable. So if you want to go ahead and jump in and share your experience, your take, your advice, give us your advice. You're going to have to dial the number. It's 1-800-585-9396. 1-800-585-9396. You're going to speak to Matt Gabinski. He's our call screener. He's just super awesome. And he'll talk to you for a few minutes. And if you are able to be on hold to get on the air, you're going to go ahead and hear the show live. So you're not going to miss anything. A lot of people, when they call up, they were wondering if maybe they're going to miss some of the topics and then maybe ask a repetitive question. Well, no, you're going to be listening live. So please join in, because this is a peer-driven ministry and we need you. Okay, so let's start. A little bit about myself. Some of you already know this already, but I spent 25 years in catechetical ministry in the Diocese of Phoenix. And I've taught from ages 3 years old all the way up to, actually, I think my oldest religious education adult formation student was 83 or 84, I believe. And so I've ran the whole, age groups of teaching religious education and imparting the faith to others. And I've learned a lot, and I can't say that I'm an expert at it. I can't say that I did it perfectly even in my own family. But I've learned a lot, and I've seen over the years what works and what doesn't work, and also a lot of the great stories of coming back to the faith, because a lot of times people will stray away as much as you try very hard to keep them close and keep them, totally engaged in the faith. They'll stray away. But then there's those great stories of coming back to the faith. That's why I love, dear listeners, Catholics Come Home so much. It's a great, great ministry. A wonderful organization founded by Tom Peterson, and it does amazing work to really welcome people back home, but doing it by sharing how much the Catholic faith has contributed to the world over 2,000 years. And it really does help to bring people back home and realize that they have been very missed, because there is a void. When somebody leaves, there's a void. We are the body of Christ. And so if you want to jump in and go ahead and share your take, the number to dial is 1-800-585-9396. And the calls are coming in. That's a good sign. And you guys are getting, Matt Gabinski's doing a great time getting the calls processed really fast. So we're going to be ready in just a few minutes. But I want to kind of set the stage about what we're talking about today on Take Two. We're talking about trying to raise kids as saints. Now, social media is already coming in and saying, I don't worry about them being saints. I just want them to be good and holy people. Yeah, exactly. We're using saint in the small s, saint. So being holy, virtuous, someone regarded as getting to heaven and being with God. We all want our children to get to heaven. And as parents, we are the primary catechists. And so it is important for us to not defer that responsibility over to a Catholic church or a Catholic school and think that that's enough. It has to be done primarily first in the home, and then it can be aided by the Catholic school or the Catholic church RE program. But I will tell you that I've seen hundreds and hundreds of families that have come to me and said, "Oh, I'm so glad I enrolled my child in religious education because now I'm done." And I'm like, "Excuse me, you're done?" And they said, "Yeah, I'm done. You guys are going to take care of it." And that's not a true statement. So if you're expecting the RE departments to take care of really teaching your children all about the faith, it's just not going to happen that way. We only get the children once a week for a short amount of time. There's many students. It's not just one student. And, we impart the faith in a very general sense. We can't get into super specifics of what's going on in each child's life. And so you miss a huge component. So I really would encourage parents, please remember that you are the primary catechist for your children, and it's vitally important that you take it up and really get excited about the ministry. So Delinda, I love this comment. Delinda on social media says, "Do your best and God will do the rest." Absolutely, Delinda. That's what I tried to do. I tried to do my best. Was it? Probably not. I think, I'm sure I fell way short. But at the time, you do your best to instill the faith in your children, and you let God do the rest. And a lot of others are commenting about consecrating their children to the Blessed Mother. Absolutely. Praying to the saints to help you. Couldn't agree more. Some are saying, look to the saints in their lives and try to model that in your own family. I agree with that as well. There's so many ways we can tap into the resources around us, and that is vitally important. So the number to dial if you'd like to share your story, your experience, we learn from you. So if you're feeling a tugging of the Holy Spirit and you may have something that could help others, I'm going to ask you to please take a few moments out of your day and call in at 1-800-585 9396. And also, too, real quickly, just a little housekeeping. Facebook is really climbing up. We're trying to get to that 3,000 mark, and you guys are doing a great job. So please, if you can continue to invite to EWTN Catholic Radio Facebook, we really want to hit that 3,000 mark, and that's really important. Okay, here we go. The calls are coming in. That's a good sign. One more thing I want to add wanted to add is a lot of Facebook posts are coming in saying, "Are you going to post resources and tools that we can tap into to help us raise our children?" Yes, yes, yes. After the show, if you can just give me just a couple hours, if you can go to take2show.com, take2show.com, that's the number 2. If you can go there, I will post several websites and several books that you can pick up and read that will really help educate your children or even your grandchildren. There's a lot of grandparents now that are really taking on that responsibility and that privilege to teach the faith to their grandchildren. So there's a lot of items out there that can help you. And keep in mind, too, dear listeners, EWTNreligiouscatalog.com has an amazing, just huge different departments that you can go into for teens and for children, for as gifts, for books. There's DVDs. So I would really bookmark that, EWTNreligiouscatalog.com on your computer, and hit that site first before you maybe go out and try to go to a store to try and pick up a gift or something for somebody that you love and you want it to have of a religious nature. You might want to just check out EWTN Religious Catalog first and see if the item is there. Okay, we're going to get ready for a break, and when we get back, we're going to start hitting the calls really fast and try to really, just explore this from all different angles. And so there's no right or wrong. There's no judgment here. We just really want to grow and get some tools to, when we leave this show, we know that we're changed, maybe are more equipped to better just handle the fact that we are responsible for our children and the future generations. So after the break, we'll come back. But before I do, I want to give you the number, 1-800-585-9396. That's 1-800-585-9396. And if you're only hearing me, Debbie Georgiani, that's because Jerry Usher is flying back from Las Vegas to California, so he's probably boarding the plane right now. We wish him a safe flight. Jerry, you're definitely missed on this show. It's not the same without you, so safe travels. We're going to take a quick break and come back to the phones. Stay with us.
60 Seconds with Mother Angelica.
We need to pray for the gift of knowledge, not just knowledge of our faults, but knowledge of God. Do you know God? Or is he just somebody that you go to when you're in trouble? And this gift of knowledge is a certain amount of detachment. Oh, we don't want to hear about that, do you? We're attached to everything, little things, silly things, chairs. Don't sit in my chair. Why? Because it just fits me. It doesn't fit you. You're too fat. Well, if you ever said that to somebody, you're attached to what? A chair. You can be attached to God, and you can love everybody. You can love your children and love your parents and love even your enemies. But attachments take the soul out of your heart.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
Welcome back, friends, to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. We're talking about raising kids to be saints, and the calls are coming in. This is a good sign because I think you have a lot to offer. And one thing I just wanted to share before we go to Lois in Colorado, I just wanted to share, too, that my master's thesis was in adolescent spirituality. So I did a lot of case studies in what makes children really respond to the faith and things of that nature. And I learned a lot. And the interesting thing is, I just wanted to throw this out there, if anyone has junior high students in their home right now. A lot of times it's a really funny age because they're not little children anymore, you know, these cute little toddlers running around, and they're not grown-up adults. They're in that in-between stage. And I know that a lot of parents, at least they have told me this, a lot of parents struggle with that age group, the junior high group. Something I just wanted parents to keep in mind is that age group, that's typically a lot of the times when they first explore vocations, when they're first open to the call of a vocation. So keep that in mind, that junior high age, even though you may want it to go pretty fast because it seems like an awkward stage, it really is a very important stage in the spiritual development. And so if you look at it that way, it takes on a whole new look. Okay, we're going to move to Lois in Brimfield, Colorado, listening on Denver Catholic Radio. Welcome to the show, Lois, and thank you for waiting patiently.
Oh, thank you, Debbie. Glad I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you. So what is this that you have to offer? I'm kind of intrigued because I saw the little comment come in.
Yes, I believe in practicing what you preach, or in the sales world, we call it walking your talk. Setting a good example for your children. So, I'm a convert, but been very devoted to the Catholic faith, and going to daily Mass, I would invite my children, never force them to go, but when you invite other people, including your own children, they get more involved in it. Mm-hmm. And my daughter, who goes to Catholic school, they have daily Mass only one day a week with the Catholic school on a Tuesday now. But it's nice because she's able to come with me to morning Mass before school starts. And she gets so much out of it, and it's from her own will. I never force her to come. But I think it's really great for parents to set an example for their children. And when they see you do it, then they want to come along. We also pray together. We do the rosary together in the car. Whenever we can fit it in, we pray before meals together, at night. And, we don't go to bed until we say our prayers before we go to bed. And,
wow.
And then I think also getting involved in the school and volunteering, because when they see, their parents doing it, and granted, I realize, parents work, but every little bit that they can offer to help and show charity and, to donate to the poor and do whatever you can. Again, it's just setting a good example for your children, Debbie.
Well, you helped me tremendously, Lois, because I have to tell you that that was one of the notes that I have for the show today is to be a model and to practice what you preach. And absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. We have found that when kids get older and they mature and they start to look back and they actually do comment on different. See, I just got Holy Spirit's chills when I just said this, so I know this has got to be of God. They actually commented about practices that their parents did. So when kids were interviewed when they were in their 20s and 30s, they would say, I saw my mom pray the rosary daily. We went to church. I went to daily mass. Exactly what you're saying. They remember that when they come into maturity. So I'm so glad you said that. Fascinating. And I wanted just to ask you, if I can, a couple questions, if I may. So you have one daughter?
I have one daughter and a son, but my son is in a public school. He has special needs. He's got Down syndrome.
Okay.
So we have him in the public schools for his services. But,
Right.
Like he was off yesterday for an assessment, but I brought him to Mass, and, he loves to come to Mass. He probably doesn't get as much out of it as my daughter does because she's older. She's 10. So my son is 7.
Okay, your son is 7, your daughter's 10, and she's in Catholic school. Your son's in public school, and so going to daily mass, praying the rosary. I mean, you do realize, and really, and being blessed with a Down syndrome child, the graces that you are receiving from all of that. I mean, you do. That's amazing. A lot of people don't realize that there's many graces received from attending daily mass and doing the practices outside of our obligation of Sunday mass. And so
It's amazing.
yeah, way to go. Now let me ask you this, Lois. This is the question I need to ask you, which I'm very curious about. So your daughter is in Catholic school. Did you ever think to yourself, or did you know that you are the primary catechist, or did you ever think to yourself, wow, she's in Catholic school, okay, she's safe, she's getting all the religious education she needs?
No, because, again, as me, a convert, she's the one who actually taught me the rosary. And then the more that I delved into it, the more I realized there's so much more to know out there, and especially studying the saints. We pick a saint every New Year's, and just something we started to do. And it's interesting because, obviously at daily mass we talk about the saints, and I get the saint for the day email, and we talk about it a lot. But there's more to the faith, and I think that they learn in school, although she continues to teach me, even though she's 10.
Right.
I was raised Protestant, so especially with the Blessed Mother, I mean, I found so much grace just through praying the rosary daily and Divine Mercy Chaplet. But I would have to say that in the beginning, I thought, okay, that's all she needs, and I thought that's all I needed. But then I don't know, I had even a stronger conversion after I converted. I'm not sure. I had a couple really great priests, and the priests at our parish at Nativity of Our Lord in Broomfield are amazing. And they've taught me so much, and I get more out of daily mass, I think, because it's also not so busy. There's more to it. I don't know. It's hard to explain. And maybe it's just taking the Eucharist daily when I can, but it's just, to me, it seems that the education is a lifelong process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there's so much to learn about this faith. I feel like I'm hungry and thirsty for it. And if you look on my bedside stand, I have a ton of books.
Yeah. Well, it's cute the way you just said there's so much to learn about this faith. Well, actually, Lois, it's your faith, because you're in the faith. So welcome home. And I just think it's beautiful. I love talking to people who have converted into the faith because, and I'm not saying this, for everybody, but being a cradle Catholic, we grew up with it. We were used to it, and it became second nature, I think, to so many. But for those who come into the faith, you have such an appreciation and such like you just said, a hunger for the faith. I love being around converts because they totally get me ignited and get me more excited about my own faith. So how awesome is that? Lois, I thank you for calling in. You totally inspired us today and made our day, and it was a perfect lead-off call for this show. And I sure hope other parents are listening and could take note that it is important to take that time. And I think what I heard you say the most, and it's going to be impressed upon me is daily Mass and the Rosary.
Well, thank you, Debbie. And I'm sorry Jerry's not here, but he's with us in spirit. And God bless you all.
Thank you. Amen, Lois. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful and blessed day. Okay, well, we have a little bit of time. Let me just give you the number again because Lois just freed up a line. So there's an open line for you at 1-800-585-9396. 1-800-585-9396. We're going to move right along to Elizabeth in Oklahoma City, listening on Oklahoma Catholic Broadcasting. Welcome to the show, Elizabeth.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Elizabeth.
I've never been on the radio since I was about 7 years old. My brother played a trick on me and made me think I was on the radio, so this is the closest I've ever been. I wanted to share with you a lot of what Lois was saying about modeling our actions for our children. So we catechize at home. My son, we catechize, and he gets catechesis at church. He gets catechesis at Catholic school. And at home at bedtime, we do books about the saints, books about the commandments, catechism book. But also we try to model it in life, and I try to, like, for instance, we have a standing appointment every weekend. We go to the nursing home to visit an aged person, and my son is young, and it's a really happy time for both him and the elderly gentleman. And I know there's a family here in Oklahoma City that brings hot dogs to the homeless every Saturday. It's a ministry that was begun by a sister here. And so if you can have a standing routine something, that child grows up in, and that adds to not just the catechetical and not saying just the Mass. I mean, that's the source and summit of life, but, just to have those actions, as Lois was saying, that are backing it up. So I feel almost like redundant because Lois was such a good presentation about that.
Well, she's definitely on fire, and I just loved talking to her. But you're doing great as well, Elizabeth. And I just wanted to ask you, so how old is your son?
He's in the first grade.
Oh, wow! So he's young, and how does he feel about going to the nursing home at that standing appointment you have every week?
He loves it. It's wonderful. They both look forward to it, and we go and we walk through the nursing home, and we stop at the chapel, and my son will say a prayer or something at the chapel, and the elderly gentleman is delighted, and it's a great visit for all of us. And we're included in the fellows' prayers, and I just feel like that's a real blessing from God. That we're able to do this, and that we're having those prayers said for us, and that it just brings a lot of joy, every week. So I guess I just wanted to share that.
Right. Well, Elizabeth. Yeah, Elizabeth, let me to your point, let me add to this. I was actually, another one of my points I was going to bring up is about family rituals and family customs and family practices. And that's exactly what you do with visiting the nursing homes. And I will tell you, out of my studies, it is vitally important for children to see that in practice, to be Christ in practice. And that's what you're doing. You're out there in the world. Exactly what our Holy Father has said for us to do is to be Christ in the world. And that is going to leave a very strong internal mark on your child. And if God forbid, the world, takes our children and kind of sways them out of the path for a little bit during their lifetime, those things that will anchor them down, those things that will make them realize the importance of their purpose in life and what it means to be a Christian, will bring them back to the faith. And here's the cool thing about it, is that we're going to have to take a quick hard break, but when we get back, I'll share more about how important it is that we as parents do not beat ourselves up if, God forbid, our children, grow up and they do wander away from the faith, because there is a purpose and there is a reason, and sometimes It's all part of the plan. So we don't want anyone to feel beat up if their children, aren't practicing right now. But with small children, like Elizabeth offered and Lois offered, there are things we can do right now to set the stage so we can give them those really strong beliefs and they can hold on to that when they go into the world. So we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, the phone lines are full, but you could jump in. I think there's one open line, 1-800-585-9396. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I put you on in the morning, and it's like having a friend talk to me during the day, and it refreshes my spirit so I can go about the business of doing my vocation of taking care of my family.
If you have a comment about our programming, we'd love to hear from you too. Call 205-795-5773 or send us an email to radio@EWTN.com. Thank you very much for listening. God bless you.
On Saturday morning, don't miss the Catholic Business Hour with your host, Dick Lyles, focusing on careers and business with a Catholic perspective.
Hi, I'm Dick Lyles. I look forward to answering your questions about career change, business strategy, overcoming obstacles at work, getting along with challenging coworkers, finding and fulfilling your life's passions, and much, much more.
The Catholic Business Hour, Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Web of Faith 2.0. It's your tried and true source for the interactive answers you need. Father John Trujillo and Father Ken Bergenti answer the tough questions from the EWTN.com website.
From philosophy to apologetics to church history, we've heard it all.
But the questions never get old because the truth never gets old.
User-friendly answers in a faith-friendly forum. All new episodes of Web of Faith 2.0 here on the Global Catholic Network, EWTN.
Hi, I'm Kathy Sinnott, and I'm host of EWTN's Celtic Connections. From our studios in Ireland, we take a Catholic look at the big stories breaking in Great Britain, in Ireland, and across Europe. Celtic Connections is the only Catholic news show made in the UK or Ireland. So join me every Saturday and Sunday on Celtic Connections.
For dates and times in your area, log on to EWTN.com.
Glad you stayed with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're talking about how to raise kids as saints, how to keep them engaged in the faith, help them to holiness. And we're hearing from our listeners, and it's helping us to really grow. Tomorrow's show, dear listeners, I just wanted to comment on this. It's about pet peeves. We're going to be talking about things that really bother us and maybe how that can be a lesson, to learn and to grow closer to God. I'm sure glad Jerry's going to be back for that one because it'll be an exciting show. So make sure you mark that in your calendars to tune in tomorrow's show on pet peeves. Okay, we're going to move right along to Thomas calling from Bronx, New York, listening on the EWTN app. Hi, Thomas.
No, that's 3 inches less you're getting.
Hello, Thomas. Thomas, you're on the air.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, we were listening to your other conversation, but that's okay. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Sorry, I was at work here, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
My grandchildren are in desperate need of catechetical instruction. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, though, they're in a Catholic school, mm-hmm. but I just moved into the house. I'm on the 3rd floor, and they're on the 2nd floor. My stepdaughter is living with a young man much younger than her, and she's not really living the Christian life. And I'm trying to work with my grandchildren the best way I can, because I go to Mass every Sunday and many times on the weekday. Mm-hmm. And it's frustrating to see her living this lifestyle, mm-hmm. and the children are exposed to this.
Right. Right. So Thomas, let me ask you just a couple of questions just so I can get a better grip on this. How old are the grandchildren?
The grandchildren are 10 and 8.
10 and 8, and are they boys or girls?
The girl is 10, the boy is 8.
Okay. And are you allowed by your stepdaughter? Are you allowed as a grandparent to take them to mass and to have them participate?
Yes,
Okay.
unfortunately, I'm committed to serve at the nursing homes and Eucharistic ministry, and I leave early in the morning, and I cannot come back to pick them up. It's very hard for me, and the mother is not willing to help out in that aspect.
Right. But you said they're in Catholic school, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, so let's try to focus on the good stuff. Okay. The good news is that they're in Catholic school. So that's wonderful. I mean, I can tell you that definitely will help. They have the religious symbols and images around them. They can talk freely about religion. That really helps. So you should really take comfort in knowing that. The best thing, if you have easy access to your grandchildren, Thomas, the best thing in the world is exactly what Lois and what Elizabeth was saying. Just model your Catholicism, model it, and encourage and invite your grandchildren to participate. So if you're doing something that is of a religious nature, invite them to participate. Anything you can do to allow them to feel comfortable and to see you as their role model for being a Catholic Christian and also their grandparent is going to leave a huge impact on them. That's the best you can do. The other thing you can do is to pray. Really pray for your, and I'm sure you're doing that already, for the mom of your grandchildren, because so that her heart is in it as well, because it's important. For grandparents are wonderful. I have to tell you, in my religious education days, I had I can tell you probably 30 or 40 grandparents every year that used to come in and take their kids to religious education. The parents weren't involved. And that is wonderful. However, I will tell you that it is equally as important to have the parent themselves be involved as well. So we need to pray for your stepdaughter, that she does feel that fire. And here's the thing. When you're modeling it and the children are engaged, it will naturally spill over onto her. I mean, that's the hope of it. I don't know if that helps you at all or that brings comfort, but I can also tell you I'm going to post some ideas and some websites on take2show.com. If you do have time after work, if you can look at those, they might be of interest of you as well. But does that bring you any comfort?
Very much so. Thank you. Unfortunately, I had one more question.
Sure. No, go right ahead.
My first marriage, I was married civilly, and I have 2 grandchildren from that marriage, and they're far away, and I have no access to them. They haven't been baptized. They don't even know any faith whatsoever. How can I try to break the ice with them in that aspect?
Well, that's difficult because you have the distance that's separating you, and then it sounds like you don't have a daily or weekly relationship, so that's going to make it difficult. You can send stuff. When you send gifts, I would encourage you to send religious gifts. There are again, go to EWTNreligiouscatalog.com. There is amazing gifts you can send your grandchildren, different books, different inspirational reading materials that are all Christian-based. Also, too, I know this is going to sound silly, but I can't tell you how many times I've heard this story where a grandparent has sent a grandchild a crucifix or a religious medal and had it blessed. Thomas, I would recommend you having it blessed by a priest and then sending it to your grandchild and saying, hey, to your grandchild, I picked out this medal especially for you. I had it blessed by a priest, so make sure you know that it is blessed and it's just for you. I can't tell you how many kids, when they have grown older, they have told me that when they were in desperate need, they've reached out and held on to a rosary or a crucifix or a medal that one of their loved ones gave them. So that's a way of connecting. And then you can, in prayer again, your prayers, just because you're separated in distance, doesn't mean that it doesn't affect them. Of course it does, because it's all in God's time, and we know that God's not, a linear God. We know that God works, it stands outside of time. So your prayers are very effective. So with prayer and with that, connection, and also pray to their guardian angels, your guardian angel to their guardian angels. There's different things you can do. You can connect spiritually without having to physically connect. Does that work at all for you?
Thank you so much. I very much appreciate your words of wisdom.
Oh, you're welcome, Thomas, and God bless you. Thank you so much for calling in today.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Wow, this has been a great show, you guys, and it's moving very fast. So I wanted to make sure I gave you some of the ideas. If you can't go to take2show.com, they'll be listed there. But I mentioned EWTNreligiouscatalog.com. Also, too, there's many books that are just really, they leave a huge mark on our children. One of them is that I use in particular is Joan Carroll Cruz's Eucharistic Miracles. Keep this in mind, dear listeners. When you share with your children or grandchildren the miracles of our faith, the documented miracles, you can't dispute the facts. And Joan Carroll Cruz's book, Eucharistic Miracles, is a wonderful teaching tool. She also did another book on the incorruptibles. I know a lot of people don't even realize this, but a lot of our saints have not decomposed, and they look like they're just sleeping, laying down sleeping when they've been dead for many, many years. And she did a book on the incorruptibles. I can tell you too that kids really find that fascinating, that God allows those gifts to happen. Also too, even talking and teaching about where the Blessed Mother has appeared, the documented miracles in Lourdes and Fatima, and talking about Juan Diego and Our Lady of Guadalupe. I mean, there's so many factual, miracles of our church that children eat up and they love it. So please consider, using those as teaching tools in your home. Okay, we're going to move right along to Julie in Cabot, Arkansas, listening on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Julie. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi.
Hi. You're on.
I'm not like the other parents. My husband and I aren't like the other parents where we brought all the catechism stuff home and everything else. We lived our faith. We went to church, and we didn't shove it down our kids' throats. I mean, there's times where we took Sunday off, but we spent it as a family, and we took a ride to the mountains, or we did something together, and we always spent time as a family, but we prayed before meals. And my son is a seminarian. He's studying to be a priest, and he's my oldest. And I always knew from the time that when my kids were born, one of them was going to be a priest. And he blew us out of the water because he was all about the money. And so when he was 22, he's 22 now, and he had a whole life living on his own and working as a general manager at a Papa John's and working his way up into management positions. And but when he came to us and said that he feels a calling, and he tells everybody in his journey, and last night he was at my Altar and Rosary Society meeting, and he spoke to the ladies, and he brought me to tears because he tells everyone that I was always his spiritual inspiration. So it's because I live my faith. Right, and my husband lives his faith. And God is not taboo in our family. We're not afraid to talk about God. And I tell my kids all the time, rely on the Lord, because the Lord will see you through. And open your hearts, open your ears, and open your mind, and listen to where God is leading you, because he'll never lead you astray. But he's persistent, and he's a nag. And if you don't listen, he won't give up.
Julie, let me ask you this question. So your son's a seminarian. Where is he studying at?
Little Rock. We're in the Little Rock Diocese in Arkansas.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. And his first name, so we can hold him up in prayer, because, Jerry Usher's apostolate is Vocation Boom. And so we always pray for our seminarians. So his first name?
His name is Vince. That would be wonderful.
Vince. Okay, absolutely. Well, Julie, that is amazing. I loved what you said when you started off, when you just, you said we lived our faith. I loved how you said that. We lived our faith. It wasn't something we learned out of a textbook. That's what I got from you. It wasn't something that we, went through any type of practice. We just lived it. I loved how you said that. And it definitely, has manifested that in your family. And so the blessings are really coming forth. And now you're going to soon to be having a priest in your family. How exciting is that?
It's amazing. And our youngest one, we believe there's a calling for him. I don't know, because this is God in him. But he was a prayer baby. I prayed for him, and we were at a different point in our spiritual development. My husband and I, when we got pregnant with him, my husband had a vasectomy, and we weren't there. We weren't where we are now, and we wish we hadn't done this, but we did. And you know, I don't know why. God has a plan for everybody and everything happens for a reason. But he granted us Billy, and Billy was a prayer baby. The day he had a vasectomy, we conceived. Billy, at 2 months of age, started having brain seizures. I prayed for him on the couch because I thought he was dying because his platelet count had risen, and the neurologist called us and said, we need to see the hematologist. And I was at my wit's end, and I thought God was taking him. This is what I wanted. This is my punishment for wanting a baby so much. And God came down, and he wrapped his arms around me, and I felt this warmth come over me, and I heard he's going to be just fine. And Billy he used to laugh and smile at this image on the ceiling, and I never knew what he was looking at. And when I looked up one day, it looked like angel's feathers from a lamp that I had. And I asked the angels to back away, that he was mine, God gave him to me, and now he needs to start responding to me, and not you. Never leave him, but always be with him, but back away. Well, the next night, he never looked at those angel feathers again. He started looking at me, and I always said he was my angel. God gave him to me, and he was my angel. And God has a plan for that boy. He says a decade of the rosary every day before he goes to school. He puts his hand on his crucifix on the wall and asks the Holy Spirit to get through this day. He wears his medal on the outside of his clothes, and we live in a predominantly Protestant Baptist area, and he is constantly attacked for his faith at school.
Wow.
And he stands strong, and he stands firm, and he comes home and asks me the questions, and he's never afraid. So,
beautiful.
God willing, I think I might have another priest.
I
only have 3 boys. I only have one chance for grandbabies.
But look how many brownie points you'll get in heaven. Oh, Julie, that is amazing. I love hearing you speak. You have such a zeal for the faith, and it's beautiful to listen to. I just want to thank you so much. You hear that music? We're going to have to take a quick break. But Julie, God bless you. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for sharing with us, and we will be praying for Vince. And thank you so very, very much. We're going to take a quick break, dear listeners. We'll be back on Take 2 to go to the calls some more and give you some more tools to raising your kids as saints. Be right back.
The other day, my son asked me, "Dad, can't I be mostly good? Do I have to struggle with every sin and vice?" I said, "That'd be like me asking you, can't I be mostly faithful to your mom most of the time?" You see, Christianity isn't just a moral code or a philosophy about how to live. If it were, half measures would be fine. But Christianity is about a person who offers his life to us and wants our whole lives in return. It's more like a marriage than a rule book. And that raises the bar a bit, doesn't it? Jesus said, "Be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect." Well, that's not because he wants us to be these rigorous moralists. It's because he wants us to be all his, just like he is all ours. A relationship demands a whole lot more than a moral code, doesn't it? But it's also infinitely more beautiful. This is Chris Stefanik from reallifecatholic.com.
Thanks for staying with us on Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. I wanted to share something with you because I found this the other day on the EWTNreligiouscatalog.com. I keep plugging it because I got to tell you, the more I go on it, the more I realize how amazing that site is for us to be able to have the tools in our own home. There is a section of the religious catalog under the children's section called Teaching Tools. And I found the coolest thing that I'm now going to give as gifts. If you know anybody that's just had a baby, or maybe your grandchild, or somebody in the neighborhood, and you really want to make our faith visible, there is the coolest item you can buy as a gift. And this is just to let you know, dear listeners, if you ever have a baby and you know me, this will be the gift that baby is going to get. It's under Teaching Tools Children's section, and it's My First Rosary. and it's a teething ring, kind of it has a teething ring in the center, and then it has the soft edges, and it has the little, it's like a finger rosary, all made out of a soft material. And so it's a basically a teething item, but it says my first rosary. Now I started thinking, how cool is that you could give that as a gift? That child's in a stroller, just chewing on the rosary, and somebody looks down and goes, that's a rosary, a teething ring rosary. I mean, talk about, living the faith and having the children at a young age be exposed to our faith. It's a great gift. So I just wanted to impart that. Whenever I come across stuff, I like to share it. Okay, Claudia is waiting patiently in Nebraska. Hi, Claudia. Welcome to Take Two. Hi, Claudia.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm just calling maybe to make an observation or to state an observation, and that is that being part of your child's religious education and being present as a parent in all facets of your child's life, that is what is going to put an end to abortion. That's what's going to do it. Even if it's legal, children are not going to choose that. They are not going to choose the path if they have a foundation of Christ.
Right.
And we talk about making abortion illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a big stretch. That's going to be pretty tough. But if we can instruct our kids to not choose that and not choose the things that will lead them to contemplation of an abortion, that's what's going to stop it.
Right. Well, you bring up a really good point, Claudia. I have to tell you, because when I went to the Planned Parenthood day of protest, the day of protest against Planned Parenthood in Phoenix, there was 1,600 people in Phoenix, and I would say out of the 1,600, there had to have been several hundred children that were present. And they were very well aware of why they were there. The parents were teaching them why they were there. And I have to tell you, Claudia, that the Planned Parenthood side was having their counter protest right across the street, and the children were taking notice of what was happening. They could see it. They saw it so clearly. They were not fooled at all. They could see that this was, and as a matter of fact, to go one step further, the counter protest at Planned Parenthood, they were playing music that was just, the lyrics were just not appropriate at all for children, not appropriate at all. And they were doing it to try and drown out our protest. And the children were picking up on it. They were saying, Mommy, that's not a good song. Mommy, that's, and it was very interesting how the kids knew right away this idea of, I'd be so bold as to say good versus evil. The kids could feel it and could see it. So to your point, I would completely agree with you that the earlier we start with our children in being involved with them from a religious nature and teaching them the right from wrong, that is going to be one of our best ways at changing the culture around us. So is that what you're saying?
I am, yes, and I guess being a stay-at-home mom, sometimes being a stay-at-home mom is pretty lonely. And you feel like you're really fighting the battle all on your own because your husband's at work, and, you just feel like you're fighting the battle all on your own. Mm-hmm. And sometimes all you have is the radio. And if we could support the young mothers and the mothers who are building this foundation in their children, I think that would go a long way to help build the mothers who then build the children, and then I think we would end abortion.
Right. Well, there's no doubt about it. When you're homeschooling and you're a stay-at-home mom, you need the support around you. I mean, it's vitally important, and I do believe Catholic radio can offer that support. The good news is, Claudia, Jerry and I are going to be doing a show titled When You Homeschool Your Kids. So we're very well aware of that. We have a lot of friends and family members who homeschool and who stay at home to raise their children. And you're absolutely correct. We must reach out and support each other. Claudia, I have to ask you this question though. Does your parish around you, does it have an active groups where you can get involved? Because that also helps as well.
Oh yes.
Okay.
We are so blessed.
Good.
We have such a terrific parish that our children are involved in, but we have sought that parish out. It's not the one closest to our home.
Okay.
We have sought out a place where we can bloom and grow, and we certainly have.
Amen. Amen. Well, gosh, Claudia, I just thank you so very much. You sound like a great mom, and I just thank you so much for calling in today and sharing your take on this. And this has just been a great show. I hope it's impacted you, because it certainly has impacted me. And thank you, Claudia. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Well, I don't know. I think so we have a couple more calls, but I don't know. I think we're running out of time. So I'm going to actually close by sharing a couple things I just wanted to leave with you, dear listeners. Again, if you go to take2show.com, that's take the number 2show.com, we will post the websites and the different books and the different resources for you to look into. Please make note of the Joan Carroll Cruz's her books on Eucharistic miracles and the Incorruptibles, fascinating books, also about the Blessed Mother, where the Blessed Mother has appeared in Lourdes and Fatima. You want to maybe put that in your library at home. Also about Our Lady of Guadalupe, Juan Diego. Talk too about the lives of the saints. Padre Pio, St. Pio, amazing. I mean, he had the gifts of the stigmata, the gift of bilocation, like what I talked about earlier in the show, with the gift that I'm praying for Jerry so that he can be in two places at one time. That's right. Padre Pio had that, the gift of bilocation, and so many more gifts. And we can learn from that, because he was, he lived and ministered in the early mid 1900s. So it's kind of our contemporary saint, and so we can learn from that. Maximilian Kolbe, great hero in our saints. There's so many saints we can look to. Saint Maria Goretti, that can give us those tools to teach our children's virtues that'll take them into their adult life. I want to leave you with this. This is my takeaway. And it's not really a takeaway, it's kind of a comment, but because I think it could help others. Over 20 years ago, when I was a religious educator, I started carrying on the tradition that I learned when I was a child. My mom used to take me to the three churches on Holy Thursday to visit the Blessed Sacrament at different churches. It's a custom that dates way back into the early church, and we used to do it when we were children. Well, I started that custom with my religious education students over 20 years ago, maybe even more than that. It's going so fast. Life is going fast. And I used to take them to three churches on Holy Thursday. And then the kids found out that they actually should be 6 churches, because they talked to a priest. And so then we started doing 6 churches before midnight on Holy Thursday, visiting the Blessed Sacrament. And then one time we did 7 or 8 churches. But anyway, long story short, about 10 years after I stopped that, I didn't stop it, I continued doing it, but I hadn't seen some of my students. 10 years later, I got a call out of the blue from one of my students, and he said to me, "Deb, are you still visiting the churches?" He says, "I think about it every year." And he began joining us again. And he's in his late 20s. So if this is my point, dear listeners, you never know how the good Lord is going to touch someone and keep that with them, keep the faith with them. So keep practicing the faith, keep living the faith. We love you here at EWTN. Keep joining this show and keep praying for it. Tomorrow's all about pet peeves. Jerry Usher will be back. But until then, I just want to wish you a beautiful and blessed day.